She was poisoning me while I kissed her goodnight.
Jerome Benton adjusted the collar of his shirt as his son Aaron zipped past him, backpack bouncing with each step. At 35, Jerome had built a life most dreamed of, a thriving tech security firm, a picturesque home near Denver, and what appeared to be a flawless family dynamic. "Hey, Dad! Mom's making breakfast!" Aaron shouted from the kitchen. Drawn by the rich aroma, Jerome stepped into the bright, sun-drenched kitchen where Roberta, radiant in the early light, was flipping pancakes with the practiced ease of someone who had done it 1,000 times. "Good morning, gorgeous," he whispered, pulling her into a warm embrace. "Morning," she said softly, returning the smile. But it didn't quite reach her eyes. In the reflection on the window pane, something in her expression felt unfamiliar, an unease he hadn't noticed before. "I've been reflecting lately. I want to do something that really matters," she said quietly. "You already do," he replied. "You keep this family going. You're an amazing mom." "That's not what I mean. I want to give back, make a real impact. I scheduled a blood donation for this afternoon." Jerome blinked. Roberta had always steered clear of anything involving needles, insisting it made her queasy. And now she was volunteering to give blood? What brought this on? "I saw a campaign about the current shortage. I'm O negative. They said it's universal. It could help save someone's life." Her response sounded almost too polished, but he didn't press. He gave a small smile. "That's really thoughtful. I'm proud of you." As they sat down for breakfast, Jerome's instincts, sharpened by years in cybersecurity, began to pick up subtle cues. Roberta avoiding eye contact, her fingers trembling ever so slightly, her tone just a bit too upbeat. "Denver General," she said offhandedly. "That's where I'm headed." "Can I come with you?" Aaron chimed in. "Not this time, sweetheart. It'll be faster if I go alone." Roberta had always carried an air of mystery. No social media presence, no real friends to speak of, no relatives in the picture. She'd once told him she was raised in the foster system, and he'd never dug deeper. But now, something didn't sit right. That night, working late on a client's network breach, Jerome thought about how he uncovered hidden threats for a living, yet never truly questioned his own wife. Around midnight, he heard movement upstairs. Thinking she might be unwell, he went up. She wasn't in bed. Light glowed under the bathroom door. He crept closer. Inside, Roberta whispered, "It's done?" "Yes, it's in their system now. 3 to 5 days? Perfect. And you're sure this will work?" Jerome's breath caught. "No, he doesn't suspect anything. He's too trusting." "Yes, Aaron will come with me." We follow the plan. The toilet flushed. A smoke screen. Jerome slipped back to his office, heart pounding. What plan? Go where? Why mention blood being in their system? He didn't sleep. Instead, he researched all night. DNA matching, forensic tracking, blood registries. By dawn, the pieces began to fit. Blood donations were often cross-checked against criminal databases. Was she hiding something or trying to expose it? A week later, Jerome was reviewing client logs when the doorbell rang. Outside, a lab coat stood beside 2 officers. He opened the door cautiously. "Mr. Benton? I'm Karen Fleming, Blood Services, Denver General. These are Officers Peters and McLaughlin. We need to speak with your wife." "She's out with our son. Is something wrong with her donation?" Karen glanced at the officers. "Where is she now?" "Running errands. Should be home soon." Jerome sensed unease in the room. "What's this really about?" Officer Peters stepped forward. "May we come in?" Jerome hesitated, instincts flaring. Then Karen leaned in, her voice low. "Take your son and leave town. Tonight. Don't ask why." Officer McLaughlin stiffened. "Ma'am." "I don't care," she snapped. "Mr. Benton, I'm risking everything by telling you this." Jerome's voice was tight. "What did you find?" Karen handed him an envelope. "Her blood triggered multiple federal alerts. I've never seen anything like it. Whatever she's mixed up in, it's serious. I've seen what danger looks like. Get out while you can." "How long do I have?" "By morning. Federal agents will come, and others who don't wear badges." After they left, Jerome sat in silence, the sealed envelope heavy in his hands. Part of him wanted to wait for Roberta, confront her, demand the truth. But the analyst in him needed answers first. He opened it. Inside the envelope was a DNA report, and something far worse. Jerome's pulse spiked as he read the name printed in bold. Elena Valdez, not Roberta Koch. His wife, the woman he trusted with his son and his life, was a wanted fugitive tied to a violent armored truck heist in Phoenix. 3 guards had died. She vanished with over $2 million. But the deeper he read, the darker it got. The next page linked her to Bernard Hammond, a mid-tier criminal known for fraud and identity theft. Elena had gone underground after the robbery, until she resurfaced as Roberta 1 year later, right before she met Jerome. His hands trembled as he reached the final note, handwritten. Mr. Benton, I'm breaking protocol. Your wife's blood showed traces of a chemical we can't identify. Something consistent with slow poisoning over time. Please get tested and leave. K. Fleming. Jerome sat frozen. Poison. His mind jumped to the headaches, the nausea, the fatigue he'd chalked up to work stress. All this time, she'd been ending him slowly. His phone buzzed. Stuck in traffic. Be home in an hour. Love you. 1 hour. That was all he had. Jerome had built a career outsmarting digital predators. Now he had to escape one in his own home. He opened his tool safe, took out the Glock he'd bought years ago, and never fired. Then, turning to his computer, he dug into her real name. What he uncovered chilled him. Elena Valdez wasn't a desperate woman on the run. She was a strategist, a con artist who built a career targeting wealthy men. Each victim followed a pattern: whirlwind romance, quick marriage, gradual illness, inheritance, and disappearance. She didn't just choose Jerome. She targeted him. Using his cybersecurity tools, he mapped her history across states. Fake names, short-lived marriages, silent deaths. A Seattle software engineer, a Phoenix developer, a Chicago consultant, all poisoned, all gone. Each wife claimed the assets, then vanished. But Jerome had lasted longer, 5 years. Why? He ran the numbers. His company had exploded in value since their wedding, thanks to lucrative federal contracts. She'd waited, watching his wealth grow. Outside, tires crunched on the driveway. Jerome minimized his screens. Through the blinds, he saw her step out, laughing with Aaron, his son, holding a toy store bag. "Hey, we're home!" she called cheerfully. Jerome forced a smile. "In here!" Aaron dashed into the office, excitedly showing off his toy. Jerome hugged him tightly, heart pounding. Then she appeared in the doorway. Her voice was warm, but her eyes were ice. "You okay? You look tense." "Work," he said smoothly. "Client pitch tomorrow." She glanced at his desk. Her gaze landed on the envelope. "What's that?" "Medical paperwork. I've been feeling off lately. Headaches, nausea. Doctor wants blood tests." She froze for a split second. "Blood work? What for?" "Routine. But I might move it up just to be safe." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "You're probably just exhausted. We should get away. Maybe a trip. Just us." There it was, her out. "That sounds great," he said. "Where were you thinking?" "Costa Rica. Somewhere quiet, off the grid." He nodded slowly. "Costa Rica, known for weak extradition laws." "Perfect. But I should get checked out first. Can't travel sick." Her gaze flickered. "Of course. Health first." That night, after tucking Aaron into bed, Jerome sat alone in the darkened office. Running wouldn't keep them safe. Going to the police wouldn't help, not with her network. But Jerome had one advantage. He knew how to break through digital armor, how to exploit weak spots. And now he would use those skills to take down the most dangerous threat he'd ever faced, the one who shared his bed. Jerome wasn't sleeping. He was hunting. While the house was still and quiet, he combed through data trails and built digital dossiers on Bernard Hammond's entire operation. The deeper he dug, the clearer the structure became. Stolen money funneled through layers of shell corporations, eventually landing in offshore havens. But what caught Jerome's attention was a partially redacted FBI memo. An open RICO case targeting Hammond, stalled for lack of hard evidence. Not anymore. Jerome planned to give them everything, if he lived long enough. The next morning, as he reached for the coffee maker, he froze. A faint layer of white dust clung inside the reservoir, nearly invisible. Years of spotting anomalies in code had sharpened his instincts. He didn't press the button. Instead, he snapped a photo and collected the powder using forensic vials he kept for data breach investigations. Elena was accelerating. She knew about the blood test. She was losing control. A message pinged his phone. "Working late. Don't wait up. Pizza money's on the counter." Jerome stared at the screen. She'd never worked a day since they married. Trauma recovery, she'd claimed. Another lie. He dropped Aaron off at a sleepover and returned home alone. This might be his only shot to search the house undisturbed. In her jewelry box under a false bottom, he found a burner phone. 3 recurring numbers. One traced to Bernard Hammond. Another to Alfonso Hood, a longtime enforcer. The third, Donna Vaughn, Hammond's financial fixer. The texts were blunt. And damning. He's getting suspicious. Wants blood work. Moving up the timeline? Too soon. We need more time to clean the accounts. Can't wait. He found something. Extraction by Thursday. What about the kid? Handled. Make it look accidental. Jerome's hands went cold. This wasn't theft. It was a homicide plot. Both of them. Targeted for elimination. The phone held more. Banking credentials, crypto keys, access codes. She'd been draining his digital assets piece by piece. Then came a note, scribbled by hand. J. Benton. Timeline moved up. Liquidate everything by Thursday. No loose ends. B handles disposal. Disposal. As if he and Aaron were garbage to be erased. It was Tuesday. The clock was ticking. Jerome took photos of everything, then returned the burner exactly where he found it. She couldn't know, not yet. For the next hour, he rigged the house with hidden cameras, tools he once used to uncover corporate espionage. If Elena was close to executing her plan, he needed eyes everywhere. She came home just before midnight. Jerome feigned sleep, watching through barely opened eyes as she paced the room and slipped into the bathroom. Then he heard her whisper, "Tomorrow night. He suspects something. I saw his computer. Searches about poisoning and blood tests. The kid's at a friend's tonight. We'll get him after school. Make it clean. No evidence. 15 million's worth the risk. Plus his client list. Those government contracts are gold." Jerome lay motionless, absorbing it all. She wasn't just trying to end him. She was planning to sell sensitive government data. This was more than betrayal. It was treason. Once she fell asleep, Jerome moved quietly to his office. It was time to act. He tapped into Hammond's financial network, using gray hat methods honed over years of digital warfare. Within hours, he mapped out the full laundering web, downloaded logs, and built a dossier the FBI could use to dismantle the ring. But he didn't stop there. He forged emails, planted fake financial trails, and linked Hammond's crew to unrelated crimes. Then, using Elena's stolen credentials, Jerome began funneling their ill-gotten money into secure accounts under aliases she didn't know existed. Let her play chess. He was playing war. By dawn, Jerome realized strategy alone wouldn't save him. Elena had ended before. Hammond had muscle. This would get violent. Wednesday morning, Jerome woke to the sound of bacon sizzling and Elena humming in the kitchen. The picture of domestic bliss, except now he saw it for what it really was, a performance. He checked the surveillance feed on his phone. She'd been awake since 5, scrubbing, packing, organizing. She was preparing to leave with everything. "Morning," she said, handing him a cup of coffee. "You look better. Maybe you're getting over whatever was making you sick." He took it, then walked to the sink and poured it out. "Still feeling off. Think I'll stick to water." Her smile faltered for a second before returning. "Sure. Hope you feel better soon." Right on cue, his phone rang. "Mr. Benton, this is Dr. Martinez's office. We had a cancellation. Can you come in at 10 for blood work?" "Perfect," he said loudly, making sure she heard. Elena froze just slightly. "Blood work today?" she asked lightly. "They had a slot open. Figured I'd go." "Good idea," she said a little too quickly. "You should definitely get checked out." As she turned back to the stove, Jerome saw her hands tremble. She knew the walls were closing in, and this time, she wasn't the one in control. By 9:45 a.m., Jerome wasn't headed to a clinic. He was en route to his off-grid storage unit, a vault of emergency gear and encrypted backups. There, he spent the next hour uploading damning files to secure federal portals and anonymous FBI Dropboxes linked to the Hammond investigation. Then, he took it a step further. He hacked Hammond's personal finances, rerouting large sums into rival criminal accounts and planting digital breadcrumbs that made it look like Hammond had been stealing from his own crew. In that world, betrayal meant death. If Elena wanted to clean up loose ends, Jerome would make sure they turned on her first. A message lit up his phone. "How'd the appointment go?" "Elena, still waiting on results. Doctor found some strange blood markers. Wants more tests tomorrow. Jerome." Her response came almost instantly. "What kind of markers?" "Not sure. Something about toxins." Doctor seemed worried. Silence. Then, "Coming home early. We need to talk." Perfect. He had her nervous. That's when mistakes happened. Jerome picked Aaron up from school, claiming a family emergency. On the way home, he caught his son's confused gaze in the rearview mirror. "Dad, are you okay? You look scared." Jerome met his eyes. "Remember the safe word? The one for emergencies?" "Thunder," Aaron replied. "If I say it tonight, run straight to Mr. Yang's and call emergency. Don't stop. Don't grab anything. Just go. Got it?" Aaron's face paled. "Is Mom in trouble?" "She'll be fine. Jerome lied. This is just to be safe. Back home, Elena stood in the living room, suitcases by her side. No warm smile, just cold calculation. I've been thinking, she said. Let's take that trip. Tonight. Jerome set his keys down, his hand brushing the hidden tool at his side. Tonight? He asked carefully. Your health scare made me realize time's precious. I booked us a flight to Costa Rica, leaves at midnight. And Aaron's school, my job? Health comes first. Everything else can wait. Jerome could see the unease in Aaron's eyes. The boy knew something was off. That sounds nice, Jerome replied, slow and measured. But the doctor's worried about my blood work, toxin levels, wants to test the whole family. A crack appeared in her facade. What kind of toxins? She asked too quickly. He thinks I've been exposed for months, wants to check if anyone else has similar traces. Her face twitched, panic, then recovery. You're right, she said, her voice suddenly light. Better safe than sorry. We'll all get tested. That confirmed it. She wasn't planning for any of them to make it that far. At 4:30 p.m., Jerome checked the time. Less than 8 hours. Her plan was already in motion. He spent the evening maintaining normalcy while quietly finishing preparations. Elena moved through the house with purpose, whispering into her phone, double-checking bags, packing like she didn't plan to return. At 6 p.m., Jerome received a text from an unknown number. Package drop at 9 p.m. Ensure targets are on site and ready. MGMT clearly meant for Elena, meant for him and Aaron. He deleted it, then finalized his counterattack. Throughout the day, he'd been planting evidence, paper trails connecting Elena to stolen funds, fake identities, and communications with Hammond outlining the homicide plot. The house would be a crime scene dressed for prosecution. At 7 p.m., he offered to order pizza. She nodded absently, her act barely holding. While she showered, Jerome made 3 moves. First, he activated all surveillance systems. Next, he sent a secured file to his lawyer with instructions. Forward to federal agents if anything happened. Finally, he made a quiet call to his neighbor. Mr. Yang, it's Jerome from next door. I need a favor, no questions. What do you need? If Aaron shows up at your door scared, take him in and call emergency. Immediately. A pause. Jerome, are you in danger? I hope not. But Aaron knows nothing. Keep him safe. I will. At 8:30, while Jerome helped Aaron with his math homework, Elena appeared with keys in hand. Running to the store for last-minute things, she said. Back in 30. She wasn't coming back with travel supplies. She was finalizing their deaths. As soon as she left the driveway, Jerome knelt in front of his son. Remember what we talked about? It's time. Aaron's face fell. Now? Now. Go to Mr. Yang's. Tell him I said thunder. Stay there till morning. But are you okay? Jerome hugged him tight. I'm going to do everything I can, but I need to know you're safe. He watched as Aaron slipped out the back door. Mr. Yang opened his door before the boy even knocked. Aaron was safe. Now Jerome could focus on what was coming and what needed to be done. Jerome didn't panic. He prepared. Back inside, he staged tools throughout the house. A flashlight in the hallway, kitchen knives just within reach, a bat by the front door. The surveillance system was running smoothly, streaming to a secure cloud Elena couldn't touch. At exactly 9 p.m., a black SUV crept into the driveway. Elena stepped out first, followed by 3 men. Even in the dim light, Jerome recognized the smug posture of Bernard Hammond. They thought this would be easy. Elena unlocked the front door. Sweetheart, she called cheerfully. I brought guests. Jerome walked into the living room with empty hands and a confused look. Elena, who are these people? One of the men stepped forward, tall and thin, dressed like money. Mr. Benton, he said smoothly, we need to talk about your wife. Jerome kept up the act. What do you mean? The man smirked. She's not who you think. She's been stealing from you. A lot. Jerome's eyes widened. What? Elena pulled out a Colt. I never wanted it to end this way, Jerome. Jerome stepped back toward the stairs. And how? Hammond moved in. We just need a few account passwords, then this ends quickly. That was all Jerome needed to hear. You know, he said, his voice sharpening, I've got something to confess too. Hammond frowned. Elena's grip tightened. I know who you are. Elena Valdez. Bernard Hammond. Feds have a file on you a mile thick. Alfonso Hood. Kidnapping, attack. I've got everything recorded. He moved fast, diving behind the couch as Elena fired. The bullet shredded fabric. From behind cover, Jerome tapped a hidden remote. Every light in the house blazed on. Outdoor floodlights lit the lawn like a stadium, and through hidden speakers, their earlier conversation blasted out. "We need your cooperation. Then we'll make this painless." Jerome's voice followed, echoing through every room. Elena Valdez, homicide suspect. Bernard Hammond, organized crime. Neighbors would hear. The police wouldn't need a call. "Shut that off!" Hammond yelled. He couldn't. Jerome had rerouted the system through secure servers Elena had never accessed. Alfonso Hood tried flanking Jerome via the stairs. A tripwire triggered, and a shelf collapsed on him, knocking him backward with a cry. "That little bastard set traps!" Hammond growled. "You said he was just a tech guy," Elena snapped. "I said he looked like one." Meanwhile, Jerome moved to the kitchen. "You know what's funny?" His voice echoed again. 3 professionals walking into a cybersecurity expert's house with zero recon. He popped up behind the island, launching a kitchen knife that landed inches from Hammond's face. "You thought I was just another soft target. You miscalculated." Hammond signaled Hood to circle around again, this time through the dining room. Another sensor went off. Books, ornaments, and even Aaron's toys crashed down, tripping him a second time. Jerome's voice still played through the walls. "I specialize in tracking predators who think they're invisible. Sound familiar?" Elena fired twice in frustration. The bullets went wide. Jerome had already moved again, this time to the pantry. "Bernard, your financials are in FBI hands. Shell companies, bank transfers, comms with Elena, it's all there." "You're bluffing," Hammond hissed. Jerome laughed. "Elena, check your burner. Call Donna Vaughn." She fumbled with the phone. Her face went pale. "She's not answering," she whispered. "Line's dead." "That's because," Jerome replied calmly, "she was arrested about an hour ago." Total lie, but they didn't know that. Just then, Hood burst through the kitchen entrance, tool raised. He triggered the final trap. A wire snapped. A sack of flour exploded in his face. Blinded, he staggered, just as Jerome struck from behind with a cast-iron skillet. Bone cracked. The tool clattered to the floor. Jerome grabbed him in a chokehold. "Elena!" he barked. "Drop your tool or I break his neck." "Don't listen to him," Hammond yelled. "He's bluffing." "You're right," Jerome said coldly. "I'm not a butcher, but you threatened my son." That made Hammond hesitate. Elena's hand trembled. "Here's the deal," Jerome said, tightening the hold. "Drop the tool. Tell me where the money is." Elena's voice cracked. I can't." "Wrong answer," he applied more pressure. Hood gasped. "Offshore," she cried. "Bernard has the account numbers." Jerome turned to Hammond. "Want to give me those codes? Or should I release everything I've gathered to some very angry people?" "Who?" Hammond snapped. "You know, the rivals I redirected your money to. I even forged emails showing you've been skimming off the top." Hammond went pale. In his world, betrayal wasn't just risky, it was fatal. "You set us up," he muttered. Jerome didn't flinch. "The moment I learned who Elena really was, you thought I'd just roll over like some gullible suburban dad?" He released Hood, who collapsed to the floor, gasping. Hammond didn't check on him. Instead, he raised his tool. "Maybe not," he said coldly. "But you're still not walking out of here." Before Jerome could move, a loud voice echoed from outside. "This is the police! The house is surrounded!" It was Roland Yang, Jerome's elderly neighbor, reading from a script through a bullhorn, just like they rehearsed. It was fake, but convincing. Hammond hesitated. That was all Jerome needed. He lunged for the Colt on the floor. At the same time, sirens screamed in the distance. Fire trucks, not cops, responding to the gas leak Roland had called in earlier. Still, the sound rattled Hammond. But it was Elena who made the next move. Instead of running, she pulled a hidden knife and lunged. "If I'm going down," she snarled, "you're coming with me." Jerome caught the blade's reflection in the fridge and rolled just in time. The knife slammed into the floor where his head had been. He came up swinging a marble cutting board, striking her hard enough to send her sprawling. Hammond fired, missing. Jerome dove behind the island as glass shattered behind him. "This ends now," Jerome called. "The FBI has enough on you to bury you." "I've got nothing left to lose," Hammond yelled. But Jerome could hear the edge in his voice. Fear. Behind the chaos, Hood crawled toward the back door. Elena stood, one hand pressed firmly against her side, her clothes stained. Jerome's voice cut through it all, calm and focused. "You made one mistake," he said. "You came after a father." He emerged by the kitchen window. "Everything I built was for Aaron. You tried to take him from me." Before Hammond could react, another knife flew, this one striking his shoulder. He cried out and dropped the tool. Elena lunged for it, but Jerome got there first, kicking it away and grabbing Hood's tool. "It's over," he said, leveling the Colt. Elena looked up, her voice venomous. "You think you've won? Bernard's people will hunt you down." Jerome pulled out his phone and held it up. "Really? Because from what I've been doing the past 24 hours, your network's gone." He showed her headlines. Hood, wanted in 3 states. Vaughn, arrested. Hammond, federal warrants issued. She froze. "No, that's not possible. I've been working with the FBI since yesterday," he lied. "You really thought I'd face you alone?" Hammond groaned, clutching his shoulder where the bullet had torn through. "If they were coming, they'd be here by now." "They are," Jerome said flatly. "They've been watching this house all day." Right on cue, 3 black SUVs pulled into the driveway. Tactical teams in full gear swarmed the yard. Elena peeked out the window, her face drained. "Hands up! On your knees!" Jerome ordered. Hammond glanced at a nearby knife. Jerome spotted it. "Don't," he warned. "You don't know who you're dealing with anymore." Something in Jerome's voice, steady, ruthless, made Hammond's shoulders sag. They surrendered. Real sirens arrived minutes later. Officers stormed in with tools drawn. Jerome immediately dropped his tool and raised his hands. "Jerome Benton," an officer called. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine," he replied, exhaling. "But you'll want paramedics for these 3 after you charge them with attempted homicide." As the 3 were cuffed and read their rights, Jerome stood in his wrecked kitchen, his heart pounding with exhaustion, relief, and something else. The plan had worked. Aaron was safe, and his enemies were headed to prison. But Jerome had uncovered something deeper in himself. A ruthless, strategic edge forged by fear and sharpened by love for his son. He hadn't just survived, he'd outmaneuvered. He prayed he'd never have to be that man again. But now, he knew he could. 3 months later, Jerome sat in a quiet conference room at the Denver FBI field office, reviewing final case documents. Across from him sat Karen Fleming, the same woman who once worked in a blood bank, now a cybercrime consultant for the Bureau. "It's official," she said. "Elena's been indicted on all charges, life without parole. Hammond got 25 to life. Hood flipped. He took 15 in exchange for testimony." Jerome nodded. Closure wasn't instant, but it was beginning to settle. "And the others? The men she ended?" "Their cases are reopened. Elena's cooperation led to new evidence. Their families finally have answers." Jerome thought of those families, years of grief with no clarity. Now at least they knew the truth, even if justice came late. Karen slid another file across the table. "The FBI wants to offer you a consulting role. Your digital trail mapping and financial tracing? Unorthodox, but effective," Jerome smirked. "Unorthodox is one way to put it. You saved lives. Yours, your son's, and who knows how many future victims." Elena was escalating. She wouldn't have stopped. Later that day, Jerome picked up Aaron from school. The boy had adjusted better than Jerome had hoped. He'd been honest with him, carefully, about why Elena was gone. "She wasn't really my mom, was she?" Aaron had once asked. "No," Jerome had said. "She pretended. But pretending isn't the same as love. But you loved her. I loved who I thought she was. That person never existed." Now Aaron ran toward the car, backpack bouncing. "Dad!" he grinned, climbing into the front seat. "We're starting computer programming next week." "Think you'll like it?" Jerome asked. "Maybe. I want to learn what you do. Mrs. Peters says you catch bad guys who steal stuff." Jerome glanced at him in the mirror. "That's part of it. Can you teach me? I want to help people too." Pride mixed with unease. Jerome hoped Aaron would never need to learn the things he had. "We'll start small. Programming, research. The rest? Hopefully you'll never need it." That night, Aaron appeared at the door of Jerome's office. "Can I ask something?" "Always." Aaron sat across from him, the same seat where Elena had once plotted homicide. Jerome had kept the chair as a reminder. "Were you scared that night?" "Yes," Jerome said. "For yourself?" "No, only for you." Aaron thought about that. "But once I was safe?" "Were you still scared?" "No, after that I was angry." Jerome leaned forward. "Listen to me. Violence is never a first option. But if someone threatens your family and there's no other way, you do what you must." Aaron was quiet for a long moment. "Do you think she ever loved us? Even a little?" Jerome's chest tightened. "I think she loved what we gave her. Comfort, money, safety. But real love, no. Real love is selfless, honest. It doesn't disappear when things get hard." Aaron nodded. I love you, Dad. I love you too. That kind of love is real, the kind I'd fight the world to protect. Later, after Aaron went to bed, Jerome stepped into the backyard under a clear night sky. The air felt cleaner, lighter, as if something toxic had finally lifted. His phone buzzed. One last message from Karen. Elena's been transferred. She's gone for good. Sleep easy tonight. You've earned it. He deleted the message and looked up at the stars. The danger was gone. Hammond's network had crumbled. Elena's allies had scattered or been arrested. But Jerome was no longer the man he'd been before. He'd learned how deeply betrayal could cut, and what he was capable of when someone threatened what he loved. The old version of himself, trusting, unguarded, was gone. Still, he wouldn't let the trauma define him. He promised himself and Aaron something better. A life built on caution, not fear. Awareness, not paranoia. Strength without cruelty. He knew now, if the day ever came again, he could protect what mattered. But for now, that wasn't necessary. For now, he was just a father. And the nightmare was finally over.